So I grew up in Geelong as a youngster, and I was very lucky in many ways that I grew up with my grandparents. So my parents were busy working, long hours, and so I spent a lot of time with my grandparents as a youngster. Dad in particular, working 16, 17-hour days. I remember as a kid, school holidays for most young kids growing up would have been going down to Lorne or Barwon Heads in a caravan. My school holidays started at a building site and they finished the day before school went back, which was enough time to go and get some new school shoes. So, working for me was part of growing up, and I think it shaped us to understand the importance of working. I enjoyed school as a kid, although I was, I think I was conditioned by my parents and perhaps their lack of schooling to stay on at school. I was good at school and I was a good kid at school, but I didn't enjoy going to school. I wanted to go to work. I would prefer to get up and go to work with Dad every day than what I would to go to school. After I finished school, I was 18 and started working for Dad indirectly, so I went and bought a bobcat and truck. I got a phone call one Friday afternoon and it was about 34 or 5 degrees, and it was from Pivot Fertilisers, and they were looking for a bobcat and truck. They had 3 of them, but they were all broken down, and they asked me whether I'd come out and work all night for them, and I'd been working all day, and I worked all night and I worked all day, but that gave me the opportunity to put some machinery into them long term. And I think the first cheque that I got from them 90 days later was about $130,000 for a kid that was 19 or 20 years old. It was a lot of money back then. And I went and bought 7 machines with that and started doing them up and selling them. So I've come the full circle. 25 years later, my business is all about buying and selling used equipment and trucks. And in fact, I was doing it at 19 years old, not realising that that would be part of my future. In 2013, against a target of 40 trucks, we sold 302. In that first year, we became Dealer of the Year. It was our first year ever of being involved in new trucks. In our second year, we also became Dealer of the Year, so 2013 and 14. And in 2014, we finished #1 in the country for Mitsubishi Fuso in terms of volume sales. So it was a huge achievement for a small country town, for a dealership that started off literally in a tin shed. We've tried to mould our business around providing good customer service, delivery Australia-wide, being responsive, being available. I think my whole life's been all about evaluating, improving, challenging and changing. I think that's what I've spent most of my working life doing, having a look at how others do it and trying to do it better. I think the advice I would give to someone in business today starting out is that you've got to challenge yourself and challenge the rules. I think it's okay to break the rules, and I think it's okay to rewrite the rules. I think in breaking some rules, you break new ground and you establish whole new parameters from what can be achieved. My involvement with charity stems from my son, who today is 5 years old, but at 8 months old, he was airlifted to hospital with rotavirus, which is gastro. It's the largest killer of children in the world today. It's not something that we commonly see here, but I walked into the Royal Children's Hospital in early September, and I walked out 10 weeks later wearing the same clothes. But I walked out with my son. That experience shaped our views on helping others today. 6 or 7 weeks after we brought him home, we made an offer to the hospital to see if we could purchase something for them. I was interested in finding out what they didn't have, and they didn't have a particular endoscope that was available out of the United States, and the Children's Hospital didn't have one. And that endoscope that we purchased had some particular characteristics that allowed about 250 kids a year to avoid having an open stomach operation. And so we purchased that machine, and the year after we purchased a machine to complement that machine. I was invited up about 6 weeks after the machine was commissioned, and they'd saved the life of a premature baby in that week through having that machine. So some parents were told there was nothing more that could be done for that baby, and the doctor that looked after Oliver at the time wanted the opportunity to use that machine and go in and check the baby, and they found internal bleeding on the back of the throat, and they weren't able to find that because the baby was so small. So that was a a huge success story early on when we bought the equipment. My definition of success starts at home. I think that success is measured by how successful you are as a parent, as a teacher and as a husband. I think that success in the workplace is simply gauged by your efforts and your endeavours to be the best you can.